Yo, we are back. And last night there was four crazy games of NBA action. April 23rd, 2022. Between the four games, the average margin of victory was 4 points, which is absolutely insane. We had the Boston Celtics versus the Brooklyn Nets. We had the Philadelphia 76ers versus Toronto Raptors. We had Mavericks versus Utah. And then we finished off the night with Memphis versus the T Wolves. So now, getting into the first game of the day, we have to talk about the Celtics in Brooklyn. And now I'm saying this, I realize the Philadelphia Toronto game was first, but that game is way less important than the one we're down right here. Sorry, Raptors fans. Um, the Celtics once again absolutely sunned the Brooklyn Nets. They ended up winning by 6, and the Celtics lockdown defense is driving the Brooklyn Nets insane. After the game happened, Kevin Durant talked to live television and said he was overthinking his plays, overthinking his decisions. And for Kevin Durant to come out and say that is absolutely mind-boggling and has something to say about the Celtics defense, because Kevin Durant is arguably the best scorer of the game of basketball has ever seen. And for him to be overthinking his shots is just wild to think about. Absolutely wild. Yes, this series, if Brooklyn does end up losing, which is looking highly likely, is going to tarnish his legacy unless he really, steps it up. Um, but we all know who he is as a player. He's going to come back next season and really show why he's still one of the best players. But this Celtics defense is giving him a real hard time. The Celtics look absolutely unstoppable right now. They are looking like the best team in the East, especially after Game 3, going into Brooklyn and pretty much making home court advantage in Brooklyn. There was MVP chance when Jason Tatum was going off. Absolutely crazy game, crazy defense from them once again, and man, Kyrie, when he got on the post game interviews, he came out and said, we didn't have the opportunity to gel since October like most teams have. Well, Kyrie, I'm sorry, but you cannot use it as an excuse because your decisions are your decisions, and we all respect that. But you can't come off and now start making excuses for why you're down 0-3 when you decided not to play because you didn't get the vaccination. That is your decision, and you honored that decision, and most people did. But now you can't go back when you're back against the wall and say this is the reason why we're down 0-3. You made a decision and it's affecting the team, so just take it with your chest open and move on. All right. So that's my rant about the post game decisions by the Brooklyn Nets. But Tatum with 39, 5, 6, and 6. And I love when the media absolutely stretches the hell out of like some stats. Like they showed a stat last night that Jason Tatum is the first player to put up 35, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. Like it's a crazy stat line, but they like cherry picked it so much to where he was the only one to ever have the stat line in the playoffs. But still, phenomenal game from Tatum. Smart started off the game shooting well and then absolutely just fell off, but his defense, was still occurring throughout the whole game. Brown had some big buckets in the fourth quarter. He finished with 23, 4, 5, 2 steals. Horford did his thing defensively. And off the bench, Peyton Pritchard, PP, he absolutely did his thing. He had some big shots down the stretch. I think it was the third. I think he had a 10-point second quarter, which really gave us that momentum going into halftime, which then we carried on through the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and kept it going. I'm a huge Celtics guy, so that's why I keep saying we. Big W from my C's tonight. Kevin Durant shot 11 shots. Very uncharacteristic of him. Like you said, he's overthinking a lot of things. He did have a pretty nice stat line, I guess. 16, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal. Really kind of filled up the stat sheet. But again, the Celtics defense is driving him crazy and ended up having 5 turnovers. Kyrie had 16. Kyrie shot 6 of 17. But Bruce Brown, man, he had another great game. 26 points, 8 rebounds, shot very efficiently from the field. He's been their standout player this postseason run from them. Sadly, it's going to end pretty soon. It's looking like Drummond played not great. He made some very questionable decisions on some tip passes and some tip rebounds. Um, and then Patty Mills and Nick Claxton off the bench came in, had some great production, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to make up for some of the offensive struggles the starting lineup had. And we saw Blake Griffin come in and play really hard defense and hit a couple threes. So that was nice to see because Blake has not played all this series, and having him get some run in and be an effective player was definitely nice to see. And actually today it was just announced that Ben Simmons will not be playing in Game 4. You kind of could see that coming after they lost in Game 3. So no Ben Simmons this year. Hopefully we'll see him next year. Hopefully he'll be a very impactful player for this Nets team, and they can kind of figure it out and move forward because this team is still going to be dangerous for the next couple years if they can stay healthy and stay put together. So that's the game I really paid attention to. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch any of the Sixers-Raptors game, but what I can tell you is the last couple of minutes of the game was absolutely crazy. The Raptors ended up holding on to the lead and, brought out the W, which is very nice to see. They avoided the sweep. I don't think they're going to win another game. I think Philly's going to get it back in 5, but nice to see from the Raptors. Fred VanVleet went out with an injury. I hope he's doing okay because he's had a phenomenal season this year. First time All-Star. Love to see it. James Harden, 5 of 17, didn't shoot well. He got his free throws though, so that's what kept him in the game offensively. Harris had 15, Maxey had 11, Embiid at 21, just all around like below average numbers from everyone in the starting lineup pretty much. Like Harden's assists were down from usual. He only had 9 tonight. I feel like every time I've seen him, he's had 12, 13 of them things. So I guess 9 is below his average in the playoffs right now. Just not a good game from Philly. But I don't see him having another game like this. But shout out to Toronto and Pascal Siakam. Pascal was the best player in this game tonight. And it showed it. He had 34, 8, 5, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Overall great game. Gary Trent lit it up from deep. No, he didn't. He went 8 of 20 from the field and 3 of 10 from 3. He just got some free throws. Okay, moving on. Scotty Barnes came back. He ended up having a decent game. He came back from a terrible ankle injury. I'm sure that was still bothering him for most of the game. And then Thaddeus Young, 13, 5, and 5. I never thought I'd see Thaddeus Young have another productive NBA game. I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. He even dropped Joel Embiid, which was pretty insane. The dude's like 40 years old by now. But the only standout thing about this game is after the game we found out that Joel Embiid is going to have surgery on his thumb after the season's over. He's going to need to have surgery, but he's opting to wait till after the season. So it's going to be interesting because they play the Heat next round, and the Heat are a bunch of assholes, man. Like they're gonna go at Embiid, and they're gonna go at that hand, go at that thumb every time they get a chance, because that's just that's just how the Heat are. And can you blame them? You're taking advantage of the situation to move forward in the playoffs. It's part of the game. If I was Joel, I would not said anything about his thumb. Because now teams know they're going to go at him. But maybe they'll work to his advantage. He'll get 20 free throws a game instead of 15. Who knows? Moving on, Luka came back for Game 4 of the Dallas Jazz series, and I thought this series was just about over once once Luka came back. But the Mavs came to play tonight. Luka ended up having a Luka Doncic game. He had 30 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, shot pretty efficiently from the field. That's what Luka does. Jalen Brunson with 23. And that's pretty much about it for the Mavs. Like, no one else really stepped up. Dinwiddie had a terrible game. And the role guys did role guy things. They just, shot pretty well and just played some defense. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough for them to beat Utah. And I'm pretty sure all y'all have seen that lob from Donovan Mitchell to Gobert by now. So that lob sealed the game. That was the lob that, put him ahead late in the fourth quarter and ended up winning the game. And that was the first lob that Donovan Mitchell, or the first pass that Donovan Mitchell threw to Rudy Gobert that entire game. And it was a wide open lob. It was a good play. But if I'm Dallas, I don't think I've made the wrong play to help off of Gobert when Mitchell has the ball. If he's not passing to him all game, if Mitchell has the ball driving down the lane, why do you think he's going to pass to him at that particular moment, especially for a game-winning play? And Mitchell ended up making the right play, lobbing it up to him, he dunked it in, and they played good defense at the end, and that was game. So for Utah, Mitchell had 23, Clarkson had 25 off the bench. Mitchell has not shot great in the series. They've really defended him well. And Gobert was 17 of 15. Gobert went 9 of 18 from the free throw line. My God, I've never seen Gobert shoot that many free throws. So moving on to the final game of the day, we have Memphis versus T-Wolves, and I watched the majority of this game. This has been my favorite series besides the Celtics-Nets series. And T-Wolves came back game 4 and ended up winning this game by 1 point. It really should have been 4, but Bane hit a crazy deep 3 at the end with no time left. I mean, it wasn't really a miss or make. It didn't change the outcome of the game just because of how little time was left. But Bane ended up having 34. He shot 8 of 12 from 3. Brooks had a great game with 24. Ja was 11, 8, and 15. And Ja has not been shooting well in this game, or in this series, really. And they're really doing a great job playing defense on him. They're really clamping down, not letting him get any type of airspace or any type of lane to get to the basket, and it's definitely affecting his scoring. But like I said in my last video, I really like how he's just slowing it down, not forcing anything, and just taking what the defense gives to him. And what the defense is giving to him is Bane wide open 3-point line every time. So he hit him, and Bane ended up hitting 8 threes, and I'm sure 15 of Ja Morant assists, most of them went to Bane that game. But Jaren Jackson is so frustrating to watch, especially in this series when Towns had a phenomenal game for the T-Wolves, is that dude can't stay on the floor for more than 4 minutes at a time. It feels like every time he goes to block a shot, he either gets the block or he gets the foul. And the only reason why they're not calling a foul on the block is because he got the block first. So definitely something that he needs to clean up ASAP, because they need him on the court, especially with Towns having a bounce back game like he did. Because Jaren Jackson played 23 minutes tonight. He fouled out in 23 minutes. Back to Memphis, and then really no other stand-up performers, from them. So let's go over to Minnie's side, and Minnie ended up, pulling out this dub. Town had 33 and 14. Great bounce back game from him. He came out shooting and he ended up hitting him. I said in my last video, I said Towns better come out and start shooting up a lot of shots this game, because his last game, he only taken 4 attempts, which is unacceptable. And he came out and did just that, and had a great game and willed the team to the win. Pat Bev had 17, great offensive game from him. And then you had Anthony Edwards with 24, phenomenal game from him. He went out with a scary knee injury and then just came right back in this game and started picking up where he left off. I love to see that. I was definitely nervous for him too, because of how explosive he is. If he had any type of major knee injury, that would just be terrible for the league and terrible for the Timberwolves, and terrible for his career too. I mean, he's so young. You hate to see anyone go out like that. D'Angelo Russell only had 10 points on 25% shooting from the field, but he made some big plays at the end of that game, so I think you give him a pass for his poor shooting percentage. Then off the bench, Jordan McLaughlin had a crazy game. I think in the second quarter, he didn't miss any threes. Or no, the start of the fourth quarter, that dude just went crazy from deep and extended out the lead for Minnie. And then at the end of the game, they ended up closing it out. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.